Welcome to today's show. So I'm going to jump in. We're going to talk about Ethereum and Bitcoin and the price levels they need to hold at before they go either lower or higher. We're going to talk about those price points. I'm also going to jump in and I'm going to give you a little bit of technical analysis on how I'm trading BMNR and MSTR using TradingView and the indicators from Invest Answers. And I'm going to show you as well a little bit of news on some of the geopolitical tension that's going on with the US and Iran and how that's affecting the markets right now. And we're going to jump in and I'm going to show you a particular trading strategy of how I'm capitalizing right now, even though we're trading sideways and the market's moving sideways. How am I trading on a weekly basis? So all of that and more, not tax advice, not financial advice, not legal advice. Do your own research. And we're going to jump in right now. And if you would like, you can go get my trading strategy down below on how I'm using this chart with Invest Answers and TradingView to trade on a daily basis. There's an in-depth video down below and my book for free. Okay. Let's jump in and let's just talk about the macro, and then I'm going to get in and show you the charts of what I'm doing with MSTR and BMNR right now and how I am picking up gains in that area. So first off, Bitcoin slips. We got geopolitical action going on with Iran and the US and the Fed. The notes from the Fed meeting came out today from the end of January, and they're signaling potentially being hawkish and increasing interest rates if inflation stays high. So we're going to get into that a little bit. Crypto markets are back in defensive mode because of the political stuff going on with the US and also Iran, and Bitcoin's hovering near about 67,000 right now. Ethereum struggling to get to 2,000. It's around 1940 right now. Bitcoin's a little bit higher than this. Ethereum's a little bit higher than this right now, but clearly not in a good position. I wouldn't say we're having a crash today, but we've been in a 50% drawdown or more with some of these assets. And we're definitely in a risk off rotation for sure. We're in a bearish sentiment for sure. And we've got geopolitical shock and US-Iran tensions taking place. These tensions are rattling the global markets a little bit. You got US fighter jets deployed to the Middle East. Aircraft carrier strike groups positioned near Iranian waters, and Iran's conducting some military drills and stuff as well. So this is kind of a big deal. There's a post here from this guy that says if Trump strikes Iran, markets may rotate fast. Defense and oil spike short term. So, clearly this is not good for the markets in terms of Bitcoin and Ethereum. You have Iran's supreme leader. He's warned of a decisive response if conflict escalates. The markets hate this kind of uncertainty. And when geopolitical risk rises, gold benefits, but crypto feels the pressure. And we're seeing that today. We saw Bitcoin touch around 65,000. It then rebounded and recovered. But the Fed also is turning hawkish in terms of the notes from the recent meeting that took place. And we could see a Fed hike sometime in the future if inflation stays elevated. So that strengthens the US dollar, but overall that sucks for Bitcoin because it tightens liquidity and nobody likes that. Liquidity is the oxygen of crypto, and we all know that. So institutional flows right now have turned a bit selective. Even ETF demand is cooling quite a bit. So you look at major products like BlackRock's ETF with their IBIT saw net outflows. So when you look at this right now, they recorded 133 million in total net outflows. Largest single day withdrawal came from BlackRock's IBIT. So we've got outflows from there. We also have ETF for Ethereum, the spot Ethereum ETF, $41 million in total net outflows from BlackRock's iShares Ethereum Trust with 29 million of that. So we're seeing outflows taking place. That's as of yesterday. You can see it here in terms of look at October red, December red, January red, February red, all the way to the right. And so institutions aren't aggressively buying the dips as much as we think they are. There's definitely some type of reallocation going on this. We know we still have institutions like BMNR and MSTR, corporations that are buying the dip. But we're definitely seeing some outflows going on with the ETFs. So here's what to watch. Key level for Bitcoin is about $65,000. We haven't breached that recently, but we touched 65,000 and change yesterday. And if Bitcoin breaks below that, I think we could be facing a move towards 60. And I don't think that Bitcoin going to the 50s is unrealistic. I'm not saying 50,000. I'm saying somewhere in the 50,000 range if we breach the $65,000 mark. So we will see what happens on that. We'll see if a relief rally could happen. So if there's some diplomacy that takes place, Oman or Geneva, these are basically like neutral meeting places for Iran and the US. We could see a relief rally come from that. So we'll see what happens with this geopolitical mess that's going on. So that's what's going on. You got Ethereum has its own compression taking place. We do have, of course, some institutions stepping in, as I just mentioned. You have BitMine adds $20,000 worth of Ethereum. They have not changed their playbook. They continue to accumulate. Ethereum is compressing. The price is trapped below $2,073, and the momentum is definitely weakening. You want to see the range holding, above like 1980 or so, and we're at like 1940 right now. So we're going to see what happens. And definitely, if you look at the price structure, there are lower highs. So there is a tightening range for ETH. But let's take a look at some of the charts that I'm trading on this right now to give you an idea of how I'm looking at it. And this will give you a different perspective. All right. So what I'm doing is trading this on a daily basis. So this is just my viewpoint, how I'm doing it. For all I know, we could chop sideways for 2026. I know there's differing viewpoints on this, but I'm just continuing to trade MSTR and BMNR. So I'm going to show you what I'm doing right now. So if you look at this chart right here, I'm now trading the 2-hour chart on BMNR and MSTR. This tech is you need trading view for this tech, and invest answers are two of these plugged together, gives you the software. So when you look here on this chart, BMNR, I was trading this recently. If you see, it goes bearish on the 2 hours. So the reason I trade the 2 hour is it's more conservative, and you can see how these trend line shifts are very, very, very clean. Like this has stayed yellow this entire time. So when I'm trading it, I'm looking for the blue here to go to yellow, and that's when I will actually sell out of BMNR. And then when it goes back, if you look at it from a different perspective, when BMNR goes from yellow to blue, that's when I buy back in. Now there's key things to look at. So like this goes yellow to blue and I buy back in. Now, because it's a 2-hour chart, this is really good to take a look at. You'll see here, the time frame is down below. So if you put your attention way down below here, you don't buy in at the first blue. So this here is a fake out. This is like that's literally like a 4 hours of movement here on that fake out. So with these thin blue lines, I don't jump in just because I see a thin blue line. This is the first 2 hours of a blue line right here. So if you look at this is the first 2 hours, and then you have the second 2 hours here, still thin. And then you have the third 2 hours here where it gets fat. So when I'm trading on this 2 hour, I'm only getting in the fat zone here, right? And I get it on the fat zone here to avoid these mini little fake outs over here. Now, you don't see a lot of these fake outs. If you look at this 2 hour, the reason I'm trading is because it's so freaking clean here. Look how clean it is. Now you have a little fake out up here, which is why you don't trade the little thin marks. You would have been right if you got in anyway, but I don't trade these little thin moves. But you look how clean it is, and all it is trading blue to yellow means sell, and yellow to blue means buy. So this would have been a buy signal right here. And then if you watch here, but it would have been this mini move right here. This is mini, and this is fatter right here. So you would have bought in right around here, about $19.17, and then you ride it all the way up. And it goes as high here as about $20.83. So if you look at that gain, now you can get out at any time that you want, and that's the good thing. So when you're in profits, my whole mentality is just get out, man. You just get out. So when I see these moves, and this is the cool thing, I'm trading these on the weekly basis. So when I see these moves on the chart, what I'm doing is, look how clean this move is. It's just like yellow to blue, and the blue goes all the way up here. And so at any given time, if you had gotten in where it's fat here around $19, let's say, and then you rode it all the way up, you could have gotten out around $20.70. Now, if you waited for it to turn yellow again, you're getting out here at $20.60. But that's still like a a 8% gain right there. And that would have been over the course of, let's just look at the time frame here. So this time frame here, if you look straight down, that's February 6th, you would have gotten in the trade. And then you go all the way over here, and then you look straight down, and the time frame would have been on Tuesday the 10th, you would have gotten out of the trade. So in 4 days, you pick up an 8% gain on this. So that's pretty smooth, right? Now I decided when this happened here, was it this move I made here? Yeah, I think it was here. No, let's go here. So this was a recent trade that I made when blue went to yellow here, and it was a little fat. I sold out, and then it dropped all the way down. So you see the sellout position here around $20.40, and then it dropped all the way down. And if you're watching it today, like right now the price is 1980, but we went, I think, to like 1920 today or 1930 at one point. Maybe it was like 1940, let's say. So we went low today. So that would have been, you could have gotten out if you got into out of 2040 and you rolled it all the way down, and then you buy back in BMNR and you pick up more shares of BMNR. So you're out at 2040 and you're back in around 1980. So that's like 3%. You see? And right now it's around 1980 after hours. So this is just like conservative 2 hours. And that time frame, if you look at this, if you sell out of BMNR and you buy back in, that's February 17th, you sold out. And then we're on Thursday right now, the 19th. So in 2 days, it's a 3% trade, 3% pickup. So that's for BMNR. So I'm trading both BMNR and MSTR right now. As you know, for the last 6 months, I've been trading BMNR. And since the market's kaplooey right now, I'm also trading MSTR. And I'll show you what I'm doing in MSTR. And you can actually see this in real time here. I just got out of MSTR. I shorted MSTR because like here, if you see here, again, if you're just joining us, when the blue goes to yellow, it's when you get out of the position. All right. But like these little mini yellow lines, you're not necessarily moving on the minis. You're waiting for a little bit of a fatter line here to exit the trade. So like these mini lines can fake you out. So when you're trading the 2 hour, sometimes people get excited. For example, right now, so sometimes people get excited and they see the yellow, like, oh my God, I'm going to sell out. And when the yellow's flashing, it doesn't mean that you just sell out. It means you wait, like, okay, it's flashing. That's 1 2 hour time frame. It's flashing again, another 2 hour. It's here again. Another, okay, we're at 6 hours now. I wait for a fat, definitive yellow line. I sell out. This would have been a sellout at $129. I missed it and got out around 127. And then I rode it all the way down. And at some point, we hit a 124 yesterday, and around 124ish is when I got back in, when I'd sold out, and then I got back in. So it was a pickup of like a 3% gain. All right. So the point is, when you're trading it and you're in the profits, right? You're in the profits here. You don't have to wait for it to go back here. Because by trading, you pick up more shares. You sell out high, you buy back low. And that's what I'm doing right now with MSTR. Now I'm trading some 2x versions of it. So there's some bags that I'm trading that I'm just like going in and out with cash right now on it. But overall, I'm shorting it. Like I'm selling out high, and then down here, I'm getting out with a profit. Make sense? Of more shares if you're buying back in here. So that's as simple as it is. And if you look at these charts on MSTR, if you're just joining us, this is a combination of you need TradingView to do this, and you need Invest Answers, their indicators, to do this. So here, and if you want like an extensive video on how I trade on the daily, also the 3-minute and the 5-minute, that's down below, as well as like a 20-minute video down below. You can snag that for free. Okay, so here's another move too. This is MSTR. This would have told you to buy in. This was when it was a 125, and then it shoots all the way up, and you could have gotten out a 130 here. So that was on Friday. The signal came to buy. There was a big move up, and you would have had a 1-day trade, and you could have just taken a big profit on that. You could have waited till Tuesday, but I got out of the market because there was a 3-day weekend. So smart thing would have been to get out 125 to 30, you pick up 4%. So if you look at this, this is like now BMNR is like tried and tested. So this 2-hour chart, now it's Invest Answers and TradingView together, but I put together my own concoction on this. So of researching this for BMNR, I've been studying the charts on BMNR for 6 months. For MSTR, I've been studying the charts for over a year. And so when you look at BMNR's charts are so much freaking cleaner. So you look at the yellow to blue. Now you have these little things. Again, you ignore these. You only trade fat lines. When it gets fat blue, you get in. When it's fat or yellow, you get out. Make sense? So it's very clean when you're seeing the opportunities to buy in when it's blue. Again, you buy in when it goes from yellow to blue, and you sell out when it goes from blue to yellow here. And it's as simple as that. And if you trace this back, look how clean these lines are on BMNR. You can go back, look at this. If you had sold out of this position up here, look how clean that is. Such a clean exit point up here at $29 on BMNR. And you wouldn't have bought back in to all the way down to $18.61. So it's such a clean thing to trade right now. You get these little janky things once in a while. If you took this, you would have gotten faked out. You would have had a wash. Maybe you lose 0.5% here. But if you're following these trend lines, you're winning the big majority of the time, like huge majority of the time. Because look at this, look how clean that is. You would have sold out on the blue up here, this BMNR. And MSTR I'm doing now because the MSTR has been very clean for the last 3 weeks on the 2-hour. And my setup is just killing it right now. And so you would have sold out here, and look at that. I mean, look at that gain. You sell out of BMNR here. So it's a great way to sell out and buy back in and pick up more shares. I know a lot of my friends and people in my community are doing that. And then here, if you're just buying in and you want to sell out and just pick up profit, look at that. And that here, if you bought in here, it's 30. And then you could have sold out around here. Let's say you sold out when I got fat or yellow. You're buying in at 30.8 and you're selling out here at 31.9. So you're picking up a 3% gain there in the course of about 3-4 days. So you look at this. I mean, to me, this is easy, like easy 3% on this stuff a week. Again, not financial advice. I'm just showing you what I'm doing and showing you the theory of how these charts work. And you can look at them and just go back. We ran this 3 months back because in October, things changed a lot. And so when things changed a lot in October, with the liquidation and stuff, I just went and started reshaping just kind of the direction of how I was doing things with MSTR and BMNR. And I was like, okay, well, things have changed. The charts have changed a little bit. The time frames have changed. So I just started trading the 2-hour. And this is what you get. So it's beautiful, right? These lines, look at them, clean. Look how clean that is. Yellow to blue, that's what you want. It's telling you what to do at any given time. And you can just trace it back. Every once in a while, you get a little fake out, but remember, rule of thumb, yellow to blue, you buy in when it's fat, right? You don't buy in when it's mini winnie over here. You buy in when it's fat blue. And I found that this has proven to be very successful. You look at this historically, how it's doing. Okay, so that's how I'm trading BMNR and MSTR. I hope that helps you. It's been a very like for 3 months. If you look at BMNR, these charts have been super accurate. MSTR, my verdict's not out on it. I'm trading it and I'm doing well when I'm trading the technical analysis of it. But for 3 weeks, it's been super consistent. BMNR for 3 months, the 2 hours has been super consistent. So that is the weather and the sports with that, what's happening. I'll give you a little bit more data on a higher level. If you do want this, the way you can get access to more data on this, down below, I have a video that you can grab for free. You just click. There's a free book and there's a video. The book's called Money Game, and then there's a video down below. Once you opt in, you can get the video for free. If you want to set up the technical analysis, you go to TradingView to set this up, and you go to Invest Answers. I have no affiliation with them whatsoever. They just have good technical analysis, so I use it. Okay, great. So here, if we look at, so let's get back to what we were talking about. So here's Ethereum price dynamics a little bit. You've got immediate resistance here on Ethereum around 2073. Now, the reason I'm interested in Ethereum is because I'm trading BMNR. So I'm clearly interested in Ethereum. I don't hold a position in Ethereum, but I trade BMNR. So I'm more interested in Ethereum because I like BMNR. I'm a big fan of BMNR. All right, so we got a resistance here on ETH around 2073. The next upside targets would be 2209, 2380, 2576. But you've got immediate support right around 1975 to 1960, and we're below that right now. So to say that things look like the setup looks good for ETH, it doesn't look great short term right now. So we may flip a little bit, and I'm looking at this. Per technically, if I look at the chart here that I'm trading, while we look at, and this is interesting too, if you look at tomorrow, if you look at BMNR, the 2-hour here chart, it's getting thin. So might we have a move on the 2-hour? If you look at the 1-hour chart on BMNR, right now the 1-hour turned blue. You see here. But I just look at it, but I don't pay attention to it in terms of trading, because to me, it's the 2 hours steady, and we don't have a blue move yet. Tomorrow we might wake up and see a blue move. Doesn't mean I mean a blue trend line doesn't mean I would get in it right away. I would probably wait about 4 hours, see if it stays blue. But there could be a setup to where it turns and goes up higher, but there's no indication yet that that's happening. This thin line is like, pay attention, because when it's thick yellow, it means it's bearish. This thin line, pay attention. But MSTR, we saw a shoot up today. And so that, as I'm looking at this blue line here, this is not enough for me to buy in, but it's been like this for 2 hours, roughly, now 3 hours. Tomorrow when I wake up, we'll see how thick this blue line is. If it's thick, I'll wait for a good entry point, and I would get in to MSTR and trade it. So there you have it. There's kind of the technical point on it, of how I'm looking at decisions on this stuff. And so when I look at Ethereum, I'm very interested in the price point, because, clearly I do want ETH to do well, and I want BMNR to do well, because I'm big fans of BMNR and Tom Lee. All right. And of course I want MSTR to do well, because, I'm constantly trading MSTR and have been highly invested in it. So I want MSTR to do well too. So if you look here, 1960 breaks downside risk, increases quickly. So if we go below 1960, which we are now, there's some major downside risk. And then we got to look at the structural floor at 1746. So if we break through that and we go below that, that's trouble. Not that we're not in trouble right now, but that's trouble, right? So there is some of the data to look at. Right now, ETH is kind of stuck in this compression zone. Open interest has cooled, so there's less contracts out there in the futures and the options markets. They're down sharply from over 50 billion to about 23.5 billion. So you look at this, you can look at the graph and just see the drop over here to the right. And then we know that leverage has reset. There was a ton of leverage in the market. We saw this in October, tons of leverage, flushed out 19 billion, and people didn't learn, and there was more leverage and more leverage. And there's been a huge leverage reset, but traders are super cautious right now. And then this just shows the ADX shows the trend strength. So the trend strength is weak on Ethereum right now. It's a 14 out of 100. And when leverage resets like this, it often precedes a large directional move. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to see a directional move up. It just means there could be a directional move up or a directional move down that's large. So we'll see what happens there. Institutional accumulation builds, and institutional buying is quietly increasing with BMNR. We've seen some outflows on the ETFs for sure, but BMNR continues to buy 20,000 ETH. Weekly accumulation brings that to 45,000 ETH. So they just bought some more ETH recently, yesterday. And so they now have, they're getting close to 4% of the supply. They're over 3.5%. And their goal is to get 5% of the total ETH supply, and they continue to stick to it. So short-term volatility, long-term conviction, BMNR continues to stick to their playbook. I don't think there's anything that's going to change with that. They're going to continue to buy. They're going to get to 5%. MSTR is going to continue to buy and continue to gobble up Bitcoin. I think long-term, my viewpoint of MSTR and BMNR is super, super, super bullish. I believe deeply in these companies, But at the same time, I'm no stranger to just trade them in the short term because I'm not biased towards the short-term trading of these stocks. And so I want to make money, I want to pick up more shares, and I want to win long-term. And so that's what I'm doing right now. So here's the levels that we look at. We want Ethereum, or I should say, want Ethereum to hold at about 1960. It's at 1949 right now. So we'll see what happens. And that's the basic story of what's going on. So I hope this serves you. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're hanging in tight. I know it's been a rough move. If you look at the highs of Bitcoin around 130,000 or so, we've dropped down 50% on that. Prior bear markets have been 87% drops. So we'll see what happens moving forward. Could Bitcoin go lower? Yeah, watch for the $65,000 range. If it goes below 65,000, means we could drop down to 60,000. Just my viewpoint on it. And we could test in the 50s. So does it change the long-term strength of what I believe Bitcoin is? Not at all. I still believe Bitcoin is a phenomenal asset. It's going to be an incredible asset for 5, 10, 20, 30 years in the future. Does it change my belief on MSTR long-term? I still believe that MSTR is an incredible asset, incredible company. I think Saylor is an incredible leader. And same thing with BMNR. But in the short term, you just got to be careful. Crypto is super volatile. When you're leveraged Bitcoin, which is what MSTR, it's a leveraged Bitcoin play. It's even more volatile, as we've seen, and same thing with BMNR. So it's great to trade. They're highly traded stocks for a reason, because they're super volatile and you can pick up shares, but you need to know what you're doing with trading if you're going to do it. I always tell people, if you're going to do trading, just paper trade, paper trade and get some wins and drill it and learn. But right now, I'm following these charts. Thank you to TradingView. Thank you to Invest Answers for this great technical charts. And if you want an in-depth video, you can go down below and get my in-depth video. Okay. Hope you guys have a great rest of the day, and I'll see you on the other side.